Charles Sommer was obsessed with the deep sea. There was something so fascinating about the wonders happening miles beneath the surface. Charles devoted his life to the idea that, one day, humans would be able to freely explore the deepest parts of the oceans. His lifelong pursuit left him in the middle of the Pacific, thousands of miles from land, on his research vessel, the Phoenix. His son, Scooter, who begged to join the trip and got his way as a birthday gift, spent most of his hours entertaining himself as his father was hard at work. A risky experiment, Charles had lost the support of multiple organizations before deciding to finance his work on his own. If successful, Charles would unlock the secrets long held by the sea. If not, significant damage would wreak havoc on the planet. Unfortunately for Charles, it was the latter that would take place. One miscalculation set off a chain of events leading to a massive explosion on the upper deck of the ship. By all calculations, the Sommers should have died in that instant. As fate would have it, the blast sent the ship to the ocean floor. After the initial shock, Charles did what he knew best. He worked. Modifying his deep-sea drones to send messages to the surface, he hoped to learn what happened above water and make contact for rescue. The Phoenix had a release hatch that allowed Charles to send his drones into the ocean without taking water into his vessel. However, upon release, Charles would watch the live feed, and after a few minutes he would see flames, followed by bubbling, and then a blinding light. After the light faded, only the audio feed of ocean garble was left, until that too faded away. This happened over and over again. And while Charles would rather work on almost anything else, this was his only chance for survival. Scooter found ways to make the best of his new living situation. What interested him the most were the shadows he saw outside the port window on his ship. Though all he could see were blurs, he would spend hours talking to his new friends. They always told him to come out and play. If they could live underwater, so could he. Scooter would beg his father to let him out, but Charles, of course, would never oblige. They had to wait to be rescued. Going on their own would mean death. After repeated failures, Charles was at his wit's end. Nothing but flames, bubbles, and lights. Scooter wasn't making it any easier. He continued to pester his father about leaving the ship. In response, Charles blocked off the port window and told Scooter to focus on what was in the ship. So that's what Scooter did. The drones looked like they'd be great new friends to have. Scooter also enjoyed watching his father work. He must have picked up some tricks along the way, because while Charles was asleep, dismantling the release hatch was simpler than it should have been. Taking hold of a drone, Scooter was on his way to the surface. Charles was awoken by the water crashing into his bedchambers. He rushed to his lab to find the drone's live stream, and he realized that this was Scooter's doing. His focus, though, was that the drone was functioning and already closer to the surface than any previous attempts. No flames, bubbles, or blinding lights. Like the water filling the Phoenix, Charles was filled with the excitement that his son may have solved the problem that he couldn't. Scooter was going to make it above water. However, as Scooter was within arm's reach of the surface, his shirt was caught in the propulsion jet of the drone. Charles watched as Scooter struggled to break free, trying to swim away, only to have the other jet drag his son violently through the water. As Scooter ripped his shirt free, it was too late. He had spent his last burst of energy in the fight. Charles saw his son's body floating to the surface as the drone fell back into the ocean. Charles sat in his lab, accepting his complete failure as a researcher and a father. As the water filled his lab and brought him to his final breaths, Charles fixated on the feed. As he became submerged in the water, the audio that was once unintelligible now sounded like language. He brought his face to the screen and saw the shadows, Scooter's friends, and they seemed somewhat familiar, almost human. At that moment, there was an explosion in the lab, and as Charles released his final breath, the last thing he saw was the blinding light.